Like most parents, you've probably been wondering, what's the best way to get my kids to listen and obey?
I'm Vicki Jenkins.
And I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. We're going to give you 3 powerful strategies. Make sure that you do all 3.
The first strategy is to stay calm. This means a calm face, calm body, calm voice.
This is one of the hardest ones because it gets so frustrating, right? And this is what a lot of parents are reaching out to us for.
It's not only frustrating, but it's almost you're not aware of how you're projecting. And so It's kind of just becoming aware of how you're coming off to your child. I know that there have been times in the past when my kids were little where I caught myself in the mirror and I had this very non-calm face on, stern. And I didn't even realize I was walking around like that. I was thinking. So it just takes a moment to be very intentional and say, okay, I'm going to have a calm face, calm body, calm voice as I approach this.
Now, this is simple. Simple and easy aren't the same thing. Because we're trained, taught, and educated, and we've got programming that's going on in our mind that becomes the default. So whatever it is that you've been doing up to this point, let's say that it's really easy for you to lose your cool with your kids. That's okay. Let's not beat ourselves up for that. Let's just notice it first off, and then we can start getting into what's behind it. As a professional psychologist, I spend my days helping people understand better how their thoughts control their feelings. And this is huge. Most people don't even see what their thoughts are. They're so focused on their feelings. So I'm feeling so frustrated. Why? And it's tempting to blame your kid for this one because, well, it's not listening, not obeying, right? But we need to get to the thought level first. It's our thoughts about what's going on that causes our frustration. And I know that this is probably getting into more psychology than you were expecting for this, but the key here for staying calm, for having a calm voice, calm face, and calm body is personal development.
This implies that you're doing something to take care of yourself. And it's so important because what we have to give to our children sometimes depends on what we have filled our own buckets with first. And so it can be so different for every person, but you'll have a lot easier time staying calm if you have found a way to be centered at another time in your life.
You know, I keep thinking about a mom that came to see me. This was early in my career, and so it left a real impression on me as I had her do a little assignment. Do you remember this? I've told you about this, where I said, okay, now on this notepad, I want you to write down everything and everyone that you're taking care of. Oh, and she had a list, right? So she's just furiously just writing these down, and she turns the page and she goes on to the next page. And she starts slowing down on about the 3rd page and said, okay, I think I've got it. And she had listed all of her kids and all of the chores and all of the household tasks that she was in charge of, that she took care of. Guess who was missing from the list?
Definitely herself.
She did not put herself on that list. And this is huge because, yes, she's responsible for all these people and all these tasks and all these things. But what if she's out cold in the corner, right? Then she's not showing up for anybody else. So I invite you, as you think about getting your kids to listen and obey, that you first take a moment to see how you're taking care of you. And we're not going to leave you alone on this either. That's why we've put together this channel, to support you in doing this.
The next strategy is to detach from the outcome. And this is such a tricky one, you know?
This is why we feel frustrated, right? Because the outcomes aren't what we were hoping for or what we wanted.
We want somehow to control the outcome. But the outcome is usually controlled by the child in many ways.
Well, whether they listen or whether they obey, newsflash, up to them.
Right.
It's not up to you. Now, there's things we can do as parents, obviously, to increase the odds that we're going to get a good outcome there.
And it's kind of an oxymoron that the more you detach from it, the outcome, the more likely you're going to get the outcome that you want.
The reason for that gets back to psychology. Somebody has to be worried about the outcome. If it's you, guess who it's not?
Right. The child is off free.
Well, it's easier for them to just forget about it and let mom worry about this. But that's not what we're looking for. We want them to be more worried about it. And so detaching from the outcome doesn't mean that you don't care.
Yeah, that's an important part to remember.
And this will help you to do it, actually. All it means is that we're acknowledging, okay, I don't control that, so I'm okay with either way. Now, and this will tie into our third strategy. I'll come right back to that. I told you we weren't going to leave you alone either. If this really resonates with you, the things that we're talking about, and you would like to dig in farther, come on over to our parenting web class. We have a Positive Parenting Webclass. The URL is on the screen right now. This is a chance for you to dig in a little deeper and to get into more detail. If that resonates with you, we would welcome you there.
Kind of one tip for you is just keep smiling. It sort of lets you remember and know that you can be detached from the outcome and still show up as a kind, loving parent. Remember, your job isn't to make sure that they XYZ and have certain outcomes in their life. Your job as a parent is to love them no matter what and even if.
I love that you mentioned the smiling, Vicki, because not only is it a cue and a signal for you to remain detached from the outcomes, we've said this before on the channel, when mom's smiling, kids are thinking. And I love that. And it's because of what we've just shared with you. When you detach from the outcome, somebody has to be attached to the outcome. If it's you, it's not your kid. So detached, smile. Hey, I'm good either way.
So how can you really be okay with their choice going either way?
This is one of the most powerful strategies that you could employ. And the ones that we've already talked about have led us right up to it. You're going to give them two choices. Okay? You have to be okay with either one, meaning you're detached from the outcome. You don't control it, so okay, whichever one it is, I'm ready for. I'm good with that. What that does is it shifts the burden back to them to care about the outcome. And that's where we get the learning. So give them two choices. You can do this, you can do that. Or it could go this way, it could go that way.
Yeah, I think
I'm okay with either one.
If you think that way, a lot of the times you really are only okay with one outcome. Like this
you
child.
You have a preference.
Yeah, no, really, like if this child is going to get in the car and go with your family because you're not going to leave them alone. You know, parents give the choice sometimes, you got to come with me now or we're just going to leave you, when leaving you is never really a choice.
And they know
and
that.
And they know that, right? So again, we're trying to get our child to cooperate and obey. And really, we do need them to come with us. So the outcome is whether they come happily or whether they come screaming, right? And so there's your two choices. You can come on your own feet, or I will carry you and put you in the car. So that's what we mean, that there's a choice. You're giving them choices that you can be okay with either one, and always make sure that you control one of those choices. So the one where I will take you into the car, you control that one, right? But you don't control if they walk over to the car on their own.
That's the power right there. Being okay with either outcome, you have to be able to control the consequences or the enforcement of one of those, and that one becomes the default. I think we really need to emphasize that, because I've had a number of questions come through both here on the channel and in our coaching programs. I give them two choices, but then they choose something else instead. Okay, yeah, if you say, look, you can have door number 1 or door number 2, and they're always like, I'll take door number 3, thank you. And they come up with their own option, you've got to be able to enforce or carry out one of those two choices that you gave them, because that becomes default. If they choose door number 3, they chose default.
Right.
If they say, I don't want to do either of those, they chose default. You with me? So you have to be able to follow through with the consequences or the enforcement of one of those. That's the powerful element of this strategy. I know we've covered a lot. Your job as a parent is a big deal. And if what we've talked about here today resonates with you, please join us for the Positive Parenting Webclass. We'll go into some more depth and detail. The URL is right there on your screen. You can click through to drpauljenkins.com/parenting. We'll see you there.